Yay, we are now live. Is this thing on? Can people hear me? Say something in chat. Can you hear me?
Don't forget there's a delay, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was
so this is Faz Radio, live. We're here with Jesse Hynes, and you get to ask Jesse anything you want tonight.
Yeah! I know people are pretty excited about this. We have 28 people now, and the Faz Radio chat room is full of questions.
People don't come to Faz Radio this much just for us. We're getting this many people just because of Jesse.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that
he hasn't said anything. Is he even here? Have we been lying?
I'm
well,
here.
That's what I was gonna say. One of the things that struck
don't talk
me
over our guest.
He didn't say hi.
Don't talk over our guest.
I am here. I really like the intro music, by the way. That was a good time. I was dancing a bit.
I can turn that back up.
Hi, Dylan.
That is by Animatronic. I bought that as an NFT from the Eternal Clay collection, and it's, I think, the only thing that's probably worth anything from that now. Maybe it'll get better during a bull market, but I like it. You guys are really quiet.
Am I supposed to talk?
No, not you. I was waiting.
You hushed me a minute ago.
I know. This is going off. This is starting out great, isn't it?
No, I'm just messing with you. So we are super excited, Jesse, to have you here. We would have loved to have had you on at any point in the past, but your busy schedule kept you away. We won't say that it's you didn't like us, but we thought about it. We cried a little bit.
Speak for yourself, man.
Yeah, it's mostly because I didn't like you.
So one of the things I immediately wanted Jesse to know when I talked with him recently is, there's a lot of the community that you've been involved with that knows you as Law Tank, and it's no longer a Law Tank. Now you're awesome Jesse. And so the community, maybe shouldn't be badgering for gossip and details. I mean, does that bother you when people are constantly peppering you with stuff like that?
I'll settle for okay, Jesse, rather than awesome. But no, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I know that a lot of people really, I think they really want to know, and they care, right? And the truth is, right now I'm just not going to be addressing anything about it this time. I'm taking some time. I'm letting the dust settle, and then at some point I'll decide whether I'm going to say anything. Honestly, I don't even know if I have anything worth saying. But yeah, it doesn't bother me. It's always great to hear from people, and I've actually really loved getting all the messages that I've gotten, because it shows that people care about more than just me as Law Tank Gal. They care about me as a person, and that's great.
Well, I think it's fair to say that a community has been forming in the last year or so with the Gala group, and regardless of where you sit in that community, if you're a familiar name, you're there often, you're engaging often, people feel good about other members of their community doing well. So I think part of this is everybody wants to know how you're doing. What's going on? What's your next plans?
Yeah, and that's fair. And I generally, like you said, the community really cares about each other. I genuinely love, many members of the community. I feel like half of them don't feel the same way about me. But I really, really have had some great experiences. Next for me, right now, I'm just taking some time. I'm not really making plans right now. I've decided to build a trail in my backyard. We have like a little over 2 acres, and most of it is wooded. So I've been going out there with a machete and going after the brush. After that, I don't know. We'll see what the cards have in store for me.
Maybe you should come camping with me, because I'm going to go camping next week.
That's nice. I mean, maybe you can come camp in my backyard if I have it cleared. But no, I think for a period of time, I'm thinking about just doing some consulting. I've gotten a decent number of companies that have reached out to me, some that want to hire me, some that just want me to consult. And, I think right now I want to focus on being with my wife and doing that. And, maybe doing some consulting, just to try to pay the bills.
So about that, and let me apologize to Nate Harper up front because I'm eating at the moment. About that, the crypto world is very new. The blockchain space is still very new, and there's a lot of, I would say, unsettled law in this area. And I think this gives you a unique opportunity. Something when something that I've always wanted to ask you is, or I've been wanting to ask you about this is, you've been at Gala now for quite a while, and I'm sure you've done a lot of different things for them. What kind of things have you been learning from your time at Gala, and what interests you the most about the blockchain world? Because I know you did another kind of law beforehand, and now you've just jumped head first into crypto.
Well, yeah. And just to clarify that a little bit, I did start with elder law and estate planning. That was, where it all started for me. And I branched out even from there into real estate and some other areas of law. But leading up to working at Gala, I did actually, start to foray into the area of blockchain law. I had created like a little incubator group at my law firm, and had spent a lot of time, really doing CLEs with that, studying, so it wasn't just like this crazy shift in life, right? It was a crazy shift in life going from my own firm to working in-house. But anyway, just to kind of try to answer that question, I always just beat around the bush a lot. I'm not going to talk too much about Gala and about my time at Gala, because if I really go into the laws that I covered, it could get into some issues. But I can tell you one thing that I really did learn while there, and it's the biggest thing that I learned, just in general in this space. It's this space, unlike any other space, the community, your customers, right, who become your community, are the most important people. I mean, in like every other business, customers are important, right? But in the blockchain space, more than any other space, the customers, the community, are kind of the lifeblood of what's happening there. You learn by looking at projects that fail, that if you like mess around too much and you lead them on, you're doomed to fail. You also have the other end of the spectrum, where if you just make promises of ROI, right? There are some that are just like, buy now, make a lot of money, stake now, make a lot of money, and everything's as unicorns and rainbows. The reality hits at some point. While I wasn't always everyone's kind of cup of tea on Discord, I always tried to give that unadulterated truth. And I really do appreciate how important every single person that is in that Discord is to a company in the blockchain space.
Sorry, got a little bit distracted by Old Man Smithers on Crypto Faz. Apparently he's mad that he can't post a file, and he just DM'd it to me, and I told him I'm too busy right now to be there's something with you in it, but we'll post that later.
Smithers has made some really weird GIFs with my face on it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those.
It might be something like that, yes. So the reason I was actually trying to slide sideways into the legal stuff is so we can get some free legal advice for this new Players DAO that we're starting up. My observation so far when getting into the nitty-gritty with the Players DAO stuff is how unsettled the law is, or seems to be, regarding dealing with crypto assets. And it really worries me that a DAO, a gamer's DAO, can even start up effectively with the current legal atmosphere. Would you have any comment on something like that, or is that something you'd rather charge for?
Well, I'm charging you anyway at the end of this. At least that's what Titan told me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no. Yeah. So DAOs, they're very interesting, right? They actually are one of the most exciting and areas in blockchain to me, and they're still underutilized. They're utilized, but maybe improperly. The idea of a DAO really, when regulation comes, and even now, it's not just like this get out of jail free card. And that's what I think people need to understand, is if you treat it like it's a legitimate business, and you go in with that focus, knowing that it's a legitimate business, and if you forgive my language, fuck around, you know, the DAO isn't just going to protect you itself. So that's the most important thing. And then when it comes to actually the application of laws, there are settled laws, maybe not in terms of blockchain, but there are pretty simple areas where you can take existing law and apply it to blockchain. But a lot of it is outdated and it isn't ready for this new asset class, and that is terrifying. So what you'll learn is that a lot of what you're going to have to do is make some risk assessments and decide, am I comfortable with this risk? Am I comfortable, doing this, even knowing that it could be civil or could be criminal, right? It could get that bad. But once again, rambling, and I don't really know the point of what I'm getting to. But the general sense is,
be careful.
Yeah, be careful. Know what you're getting into. This isn't a get out of jail free card, but there are rules that you can live by and you can be safe.
I think that sounds like general knowledge for anything in blockchain, because this area is so new. It worries me personally about any blockchain business out there. And that would be a gaming company like Gala Games and so on. This shit is so new and unsettled. I'm really worried about where the federal government wants to go with this. I think that there's certainly a legal path to do things properly, but I think the political path is actually really getting in the way of blockchain becoming more than it currently is.
Yeah, I mean, Faz, I know that you followed me on Twitter for a while, right? Like, just so for everybody who's listening, Faz is the reason I even, got into Gala to begin with. But you probably recall back, a while ago when I was talking about that I didn't really pay that much attention, even, when I was massive into the XRP community and XRP. I didn't pay too much attention to the SEC case, because I'm more interested in what's going on in Congress. That's where the laws are made. That's where whatever's decided in that case can be changed just based on a law. But right now, you're right. I am perplexed and confused as what's going on. I've dealt with congressmen and women. I've dealt with some of the lobbyists, and just seeing the status of bills. I mean, one that I'm following really closely right now is the Digital Commodities Consumer Protection Act, which, for those who aren't familiar with it, it was a bill that was kind of introduced and kicked around a little bit to regulate crypto spot markets. And that's great. It was going to put the CFTC on that, but it was a vague bill, and not only that, but the language could have been interpreted to block out DeFi itself as just illegal. And just a blanket no DeFi, it just can't exist in the US. And that's sloppy, right? That could be a massive mess, and that's kind of what we're wading through right now. And I am nervous about where this is going for sure.
So, okay, to follow up on that, and I don't even know if this is your wheelhouse, but how this might be for a different type of specialty, but when you have things that are this, my opinion is that Congress doesn't get it a lot on blockchain, and when this happens, how safe is it to even develop in this space?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and I was asked to come to DC, and one of the big reasons for that is because congressmen and women wanted to ask me what an NFT was, and these are the same people who are opining on these bills, that are being kicked around in the subcommittees. And the fact that, just going there to have a conversation of what is an NFT, and they're already, making decisions and coming up with where they're going. It's
and then they say publicly that crypto is a scam. I mean, yeah. I see businesses every day. Every single day, I'm seeing business sites saying, we now take crypto. We're now getting involved in crypto. We're now buying crypto. But then everybody at the exact same time is saying, crypto's a scam. Crypto's terrible. and so on. It's like this big mix going on, and I'm going to pull this back to gaming, crypto gaming. People start getting worried about you know, purchasing NFTs and purchasing gaming coins when all this stuff is very unsettled. When the people in charge don't even understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what the question is.
I don't think there was a question there. You're right. I'll let Titan ask the next question. I think that was just a statement that I was unhappy about something.
Well, I can talk. I can start rambling about it if you'd like. But
Are you there, Titan?
I'm there. I was waiting for my turn, man. I couldn't get a word in edgewise. No, so I think the same thing. It's a very, very tough environment. Where is it you want to go with that, though? Do you want to specialize? Do you want to be, in the general sense, kind of how it's been? What interests you the most in this space?
I'm interested in the opportunity of this space. The opportunity that gives any regular individual this new way to start a business, create a product, get out there. It's that same opportunity that unfortunately is what leads to a lot of those, the scams, right? Because there's so much opportunity, it's so easy to get yourself front facing. It's so easy, to just be a project with a lot of people marketing, or even one person marketing who's just really good at it. And there's actually nobody building anything. For me, my interest is, obviously, I was raised in a sense, in my education, in a sense of legal, and I have a legal mindset. But, anybody who knows me knows that I love to do more than just the law. I like to come up with ideas and try to be as creative as I can, and try to do that in a compliant way with the laws. So, I'm not going to get in too much about things that I may or may not try to do in the future. But what interests me is just taking what I've learned and starting with working with other projects, being more than just, oh, this is Jesse, our lawyer, right? This is Jesse, and he is helping us create our products. He's helping us do this, helping us do that. And then maybe one day, it might be, this is Jesse, he created this. And that would be really cool.
Ooh, so it sounds a little bit mysterious. I like that. So as you get these invitations, like you mentioned, to DC and some of these companies who are interested in bringing you aboard, what does your experience from your first, like I guess, crypto or Web3 blockchain, what is it that you're going to go into your next role knowing that would help somebody who maybe is going in it for the first time?
Yeah, that's a hard question.
Well, I mean, so there's a lot of people, both at CFA and on Gala and some of the other discords that we're in, who are working in whatever fashion, whether it's on the dev side or wanting to do the sales or the business development, and they've never worked in that environment, that crypto, like blockchain-y kind of environment. So like with your first experience with it, what are some things that you could give as advice to somebody maybe who's stepping into that world for the first time, so they won't maybe get blindsided by, oh wow, this is way different than a traditional company?
That's fair. That makes sense, and that's a good question. I think the most important thing, and I think anybody in the blockchain space at any company would agree with this, is everything moves so much faster. If you go to a traditional, if you're doing in-house counsel, general counsel, CLO for your traditional company, there might be a 2-week to 4-week review time on contracts. And there are times in the blockchain space where that review time is like today, get this done in an hour, get this done in 3 hours, whatever. And, it's just faster moving. That's the same with development for some things. That's the same with, planning. It's just everything is moving so fast because, one of the biggest reasons is, it's this new world, right? And everybody wants to grab the land, right? And whoever gets the most land fastest probably has a good head start on whether they're winning. So that's the first and most important thing, is you just need to be ready to work faster than you probably ever have before, and probably work more than you ever have before. But also, if you do that, it can be very rewarding.
That's an excellent way to look at it. So it's maybe not just Gala that goes at the speed of light. You're noticing that with other people that you've bumped into in the spaces. I mean, this is like everybody.
I wouldn't say everybody, right? I haven't talked to everyone. Like for example, Ripple, I don't actually think they move that fast. I think they move slow, and I think that's what pisses people off about them. But a lot of companies that I've met with, a lot of people that I've talked to, their companies are, they're people. They're working constantly, and everyone shares the same kind of war stories, right? It's like, I love what I do, but why, we're working so fast and we're doing so much more than we've ever had to do, and it's terrifying. So yeah, it's all over the space.
See, that reminds me, that point of view reminds me a lot of when I got into software development in 2000. That's pretty much around that time is when I started out with the .com boom, and then later with Web 2, when Web 2 started. Everything moved a whole lot faster, and before then, you couldn't just pop up a website and be functioning that day. You had to do a lot of things and get a lot of things in motion, and mailing lists and all this stuff. I mean, without the web being there, it was a totally different ballgame. And I think it's kind of amazing how new things seem to be able to move a lot faster. I think that is because there's little regulation, and people are trying to make as much money as they can before the rules come out and shuts them all down, or at least squelches them down to operating within a narrow space.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I can tell you that there are projects that I talk to, that I could tell that they knew that what they were doing was definitely against the law, right? They absolutely knew it, but they didn't care, because their plan was not to be around for long, right? They weren't going to be there when the regulators came knocking, because right now everything that's happening with the SEC, with regulation, it's messy. It's not, they're not going after the right people. So people, even though they know that they're breaking the law, they're less afraid. But then the companies that are building, they're moving fast, but they're also trying to, as much as they can, stay within the bounds of the laws, knowing that, like I said before, with starting a DAO, knowing that you're going to have to make these risk assessments. Nobody knows if this is okay. Nobody knows if that is okay. And, what's the risk? Are we green? Are we yellow? Are we red? And even if we are we willing to take it, hoping for better regulation?
Yeah, I agree with the not going after the right people bit, because I don't understand why they would go after Ripple first and Kim Kardashian, and not anybody who's doing actual illegal things. Now, they could say that Kim Kardashian was doing illegal things, but she's kind of doing things the old way. She labeled her tweet as an ad, and she probably didn't follow the every single complete letter of the law, and so they got her on something small. But they're not going after like big scammers, or at least if they are, they're not telling us.
Yeah.
And Ripple, I think they're going after Ripple because, oh my God, Ripple is going to threaten the whole way that things operate. I think the banks are just effing scared of Ripple, like what they even represent. It's no surprise to me that Elizabeth Warren seems to be very in bed with Gary Gensler. They seem to be saying a lot of the same things.
I think that, similar to the companies, the regulatory agencies like the SEC are doing their own kind of land grab. And so what you saw with the SEC was they did go after some low-hanging fruit early, and they got some favorable stuff. But then when it came to Ripple, I think that was their, well, we're gaining traction, so let's go big here. And let's be honest, I'm a massive Ripple, a massive XRP fan, but there's stuff that happened in the beginning, that based on how the SEC is literally interpreting investment contract law, security law, and the Howey test, you could argue was, in the beginning, maybe it was a security. And I'm not saying I think it is. I'm just saying that there is a logical path to that argument. And so they saw it and they're like, well, this is the big thing that we can target and we can really make that splash. I think the SEC has found out that it's not going as easy for them as they thought it would. And and this is speculation at this point. It's not like I have inside information on this, but I think that then the Kim Kardashian thing and the other things they're starting to do, is now more about okay, we need to get our image back. We need to go back after these these low hanging type fruit things again, and also do it in a way that puts us out there, right? Because she's a big name, going after Ape DAO, going after, Bored Ape Yacht Club, whatever.
Oh.
Same thing.
Well, my observation, listening to John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan's breakdowns of what the SEC has been doing in the Ripple case, is that they've been contradicting themselves a lot. There's a lot of details I don't understand, but it's pretty easy to surmise that they're contradicting themselves. And it seems to me they're literally looking to run down the clock and hopefully to get a Hail Mary somewhere else. Maybe Congress will get things moving in the meantime. So when you say that there's a path there, are you sure that the SEC knows what path there is that they're supposed to be going on?
I mean, I can only speculate as to what the SEC thinks, but I tend to be a little bit less conspiracy, theorist than most, and so when I look at it, every case I've been in, every case I've argued, I've been able to look at the other side and be like, look, they're contradicting themselves a million times. And, I've had the other side look at me and say, oh, look, he's contradicting himself a million times. And, it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to kind of take facts and confirmation bias and things like that. The SEC has an opinion of what makes something a security. And that's kind of why they're potentially going after NFTs right now. And their opinion is basically like, if you gave, if you sold the token and you used it to fund something that doesn't exist, it's a security. If everybody, who buys something relies on the overall brand for that price to go up, whether they're using it for utility or not, it's a security. And no test says that, but there is, if you literally read Howey, there's an argument, but who knows?
And if they win that argument, then I think that's going to mean a lot more. I think that's going to mean a lot more than what people may have previously assumed out of that argument. My understanding of law is that there are legal arenas, and when a new arena pops up, that has to be validated in court in some way to say, yes, this legal arena applies, or no, this one does not. And sometimes it's gone one way or the other. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, but I mean, the SEC is going to say that, and this is what they have been saying, is that Howey, investment contracts, that type of security, it's been settled since the 40s, 30s, I think the 40s. So they'll say this isn't new because it's not the blockchain representation. Anything can be a security is what they're saying, and just because this is new technology, it doesn't just change everything.
Well, that's kind of where
I could dig into that, but I don't know enough about what I'm talking about. So sorry, Titan, go ahead. That was my way of handing off to you, Titan.
Well, and that's exactly where my question was going to go, Jesse, is Faz and I did a show probably 9 months ago, and for like 2 hours, we argued vehemently about whether or not we should base crypto and securities based on this old law that we're trying to take a new industry and stuff it into old rules, or whether something entirely new that doesn't live at the CTFC or the SEC and creates something new to regulate the space. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's funny you ask, because they're actually trying to figure that out at Congress, in Congress right now. And even the lobbyists, a couple of the lobbyists that I met with and talked with, they asked me the same question. They asked me, who do you think should regulate cryptocurrency, and why? Should we follow existing statutes and just amend them? And the answer is, I actually generally don't have a problem with the Howey test. But I do think that what needs to happen is legislation needs to come out that defines what a digital asset is in general, what a digital asset security is, and not just, oh, is it an investment contract? It actually needs to state what the criteria are for a digital asset security.
But, okay, if they did that though, wouldn't that kneecap any attempt to apply the Howey test? Because I mean, the Howey test might. Well, I'll just go with that. Wouldn't that kneecap part of the Howey test?
Yeah, I mean, in general, right? The Howey test could still apply at the end of the day, and that's going to be the tricky thing. Is you don't want to totally kneecap the Howey test because it's important, but the thing is, we need to make it clear that a digital asset itself can't inherently be a security. It has to be how that digital asset is sold. And that's where a lot of the mush is coming in the Ripple case right now, is it's unclear whether the SEC is saying, is it how it's sold, or is the digital asset itself just inherently a security? And that's the one thing I think they've been flip-flopping on, which has confused me.
Well, yeah, I remember before you even got on at Gala, I think I asked you about the case a little bit, and I think you told me at the time, look, the SEC is not actually implying that XRP is a security. They're implying they're trying to say how it's being used, and I don't think that they've ever really come out on whether they really mean that XRP is a security. But I see John Deaton posting all over the place. This is exactly what the SEC is saying. They're trying to say it is a security, but I think they're saying it by not saying it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think that they are saying, I do think that they're arguing all XRP, even ones not sold by Ripple, are securities, which,
Right.
They're even going as far as if I buy this from you, on Binance, outside of the US, I have an investment contract.
Well,
with
and
Ripple.
that would mean that would give fuel for any crypto. Fine. If they said XRP is a security because you're expecting profit from, I don't know, some other dudes out there who are buying and selling it, that's true of any crypto. But then again, newsflash, that's true for the Forex market. What's different? Oh, it's just a different asset type. My thought is that crypto should be deemed its own asset type, but that's a tangent.
Well, it should, but there still needs to be that ability for it to be called a security, because anything can be sold in security form. And it's important that we don't just say, oh, it's, if it's a digital asset, it's never a security or it's never an investment contract, because then that will give, bad actors the ability to go buck wild and go wild, wild west on this, because they're like, oh, we're good.
All right, Titan's typing in chat. He wants to say something, so go for it, Titan, before I continue to beat a dead horse.
Yeah, we can sit here all day and you can argue. I know I've been on phone calls with you. So, kind of a sort of offshoot, kind of a little bit of a segue, but keeping along the same lines, right? So you have the unique experience, right? So you've been through the Discord breach. You've seen security from another angle that, like us here on the outside, we don't see it with these Web3 companies. Do you think that the technology that we have today in the crypto sphere, so to speak, is going to be able to keep up against the threats that come against it? Or do you see it like weighted on either side? Is it something that the average person needs to be more concerned about, less concerned about? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I want to just say that I am like, by no means a technology expert. In fact, if you ask somebody like Doc, we probably had so many conversations back in the day where I just, my eyes would glaze over when I listened to him talk, and I had no idea what he was talking about. But when it comes to what's happening with a lot of the scams and fraud and stuff, it's not like it's the blockchain that's the problem. It's not like it's the crypto that's the problem. It's where those breaches happen. Sometimes it happens because of human error, and that human error could just be, if they're on Discord, what links they're clicking on Discord, or if they, something gets sent to their wallet, what they do with it, and what they approve, or when you're talking about a lot of blockchain, a lot of crypto network hacks, a lot of them happen, if I'm correct, on the bridges, right? Where you're going from one blockchain to another, or creating bridges within your blockchain. And so it's those things that we have the technology to solve, but human error is in my opinion where the problem always is.
So, do you think though that, and I'm not speaking about anybody in particular, but like you've had experience with seeing different companies and how they operate that. So, do you think that in general the awareness around that, and what they need to do, what they need to accomplish, and are they willing to do what it takes to get that security? It seems like there's just so many breaches. That's kind of why I'm kind of going down this. We were talking about the security of things, and it worries me that, in your experience, do they take it serious enough at a lot of these companies you've had conversations with?
Yeah, I mean, some do, some don't, right? I don't want to speak about any companies, that I've worked with or worked for. But generally, what's different about this, working at blockchain company versus working at Apple is that, every employee could be a liability, in that they could be on a Discord talking to people and clicking on links and things like that. And there is a lot of education, but also, it's also impossible, to stop everything. It's one of those things where you can have best practices, and sometimes you learn those best practices when things happen. um, so it is much more complicated, and there's a lot more liability in this space, just because inherently, there is more community involvement, there is more involvement with people. But there's a chance that one day this space just grows to be more like Web 2, where you don't even talk about blockchain. It's just like, oh, I'm going to watch this movie, and you don't even know that there's some kind of blockchain technology integrated into it, and you don't really care about whether you're talking to the employees or the founders.
Okay, that's actually something that's kind of gotten me about this space, that the crypto space and discords and the type of communication in general. Not that I want to defend the way that existing companies do things. So right now, with generally any project, you can talk to the founders, you can talk to the programmers, you can even you can talk to their lawyers sometimes, just right there in the Discord. Well, my observation in the past with, companies that have products that are big and do a lot, is that they don't say a lot because they're afraid of how things can be taken. And a lawyer would never say anything. Yet, I'm seeing this in a number of projects where, I mean, they just speak their mind. And then it becomes, well, what we say here, you can't quote us on this. We're just talking on the Discord. We're just hypothesizing, whatever. And I don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to fly, or how well that would fly in a court of law. People get confused. They can easily say, well, I went to the Discord and the founders are telling me, I could make a lot of money. No, they didn't say it, but they're kind of like, you really want to get this.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at most of the suits that the SEC has brought forth, the regulatory actions that they've brought forth, they have quoted, whether it be Discord or some forum or whatever, and that you're right, because when you look at investment contract language, it's not like you guaranteed profits. There's a reasonable expectation of profits, and what would a reasonable person assume, in that situation? And I know that's just one of the prongs, but just to focus on that. So yeah, it is hard, and when I try to make comments, I try to make it very clear, at least for myself, it's to the best of my knowledge or from what I know, but I could be wrong. I would always put qualifiers in there to make it as clear as possible. One day,
Gee, if only the regulators would do that. Isn't that their job?
oh, if they did, I mean, no matter what, if they did it, lawyers, there are a lot of bad lawyers out there, right? I like to pretend I'm not one of them, but lawyers can twist every single law, to mean anything they want it to mean. So I don't think it would matter whether they did or didn't. But I loved being part of a Discord, and I know that if I was working at a company like Apple, that I wouldn't have done that, right? It wouldn't have been a normal thing, but it was great. It was really special, and you really, really got to become friends with everyone. And also, every night I recognized the massive liabilities that people, what someone could say. I probably terrified 100 million people on Teams being like, hey, why'd you post that? But I don't know what the answer is going to be, but I do feel like, it's probably going to get a little tighter, across the space.
When you say,
sorry,
oh, sorry. So you say tighter across the space. So is what you mean by that, like, are you recommending maybe that some of the leaders of the crypto companies out there, as Faz likes to put it, they need to learn how to shut the fuck up? Is that kind of what you're saying?
that's a Faz approved statement there.
I am not going to answer that question, because I think no matter what I say, it's going to be turned into some kind of implication that I don't mean. So I'm just going to gracefully decline.
Damn
If
it!
we're going to get to gracefully declining questions, we have a whole bunch of comments in the Crypto Faz Academy Discord that I'm sure that you might want to gracefully decline. Should we go through them, or should we still keep going down the regulatory direction?
Let's go through the comments.
All right. This is
the
like,
thing
think
about
of it like mean tweets or something.
Yeah, the thing about the laws, I can talk about it for forever, but also it turns my brain to mush, because it's just so confusing right now. Half the time I'm just guessing, and I'm just like looking at you confidently, so you think I'm right.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay, look, buddy, I'm sorry, but the SEC says it is very, very, very clear, and you must just suck. So, all right, now on that, let's go to Faz Radio Chat, where I said that, I said that Jesse Hynes would answer any question. Is that true?
I will answer.
Well, he'll.
People might not like it. People
All
might
right.
not.
Number one, why are you talking to Faz?
I asked myself that too. I think I was just bored. No, I mean, to be honest, like I said, part of it is that you were the person who got me, into this whole into this whole ecosystem, right? And so I'm obviously going to return the favor in a sense, and come on here. But also, I've wanted to do this for a while. I've just been working 18-hour days. Now I have nothing to do but to machete through my forest. So I have time.
So, to be fair, about about these new questions coming up. By the way, thank you for that. My mind is going a million miles an hour, so I apologize for thinking in reverse. My American Indian friends call me Heyoka, and if you're American Indian, you might know what that means. Um, so a lot of people are wondering on the Discord, and they phrase it in different ways, why you have left Gala Games. I think Mr. K asked it best. Tell me why you left GG without telling me why you left GG.
Yeah, I think people, I think I kind of went into this before, but people really want me to come out with some large announcement. And I've gotten a lot of messages, and they've been really kind. And some have just been really, in my opinion, searching for information. And based on the way that people are asking me, I can't figure out what they want to hear more, whether I have something good to say or bad to say. It's odd, but the truth is right now I'm just not going to address anything specific to Gal. Like I said before, I think I said before, I'm taking time off. I'm letting the dust settle, and then we'll see how I feel in a week or 2 weeks.
Right. And I've been telling people the same thing. This is a lawyer, people. I mean, you're going to get a lawyer answer, and no, people sign NDAs with companies, and I've worked at startups myself, and each of those startups I've had some issues with them. It's been a rough time for me because it's a very stressful job to work for startups, and each one of them I signed NDAs for. So if somebody were to put me on the record and say, "Okay, who'd you have a problem with? What'd you have a problem with?" I'd be like, "None of your business." But I think a lot of people are asking because they want to feel good about their NFT investment. Is it good for me to buy a Gala? Should I sell my Gala? Should I sell my NFT? And I think it's more complicated than that. And I think if people would actually really try to work for a startup to where you said it yourself, you're working 18 hours a day, you've got to realize how much stress that is. It's
Yeah.
you start finding out what you really want to do in life when you work for a startup, in my opinion.
I want to sleep for life, but I wish that made money. But it's somebody asked me, should I sell my Gala? And my response was, well, I never told you to buy it. Like I'm not going to give you advice on whether you should buy or sell, because I think that any company is bigger than one individual. So no matter what I feel, whether it's good or bad, it's not going to be what made the company. It's not going to be what takes the company down. So, I wouldn't base any decisions on thoughts about me being a good or bad person or having good or bad experiences.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, it Faz has said it 100 times, and people yeah, and pat him on the head and move on. There's going to be turnover, especially in a new company, whether that's people being let go, whether that's people resigning, whether it's companies splitting off and employees moving from one company to another company, or maybe doing something on the side. Those things do happen. Yes. I think though, kind of dogpiling onto what Faz was talking about, I think a lot of people, there's been just a flurry kind of lately of personnel changes, let's just say, over there. So I'm not so sure it's, hey, should I sell my Gala? Should I sell my NFTs? More about, hey, is this general genre of people moving around a concern?
Let
What
me
are your
answer that.
thoughts there?
Let me answer that before Jesse does, because this is where I want to jump in, and I tell everybody whether they want to listen to it or not. If you work at a startup, there will be 100% turnover over the first few years. That's my prediction, and generally that's what happens. They go through a lot of people because there is a management style that is developing, and there are people that uh, they want certain people, and so on. And they also work a ton of hours. And the people who don't fit that vision, or the people who don't want to work those hours, or don't give the kind of results, realistic or not, will leave. And I've worked for places that I have quit and because it's I didn't like their vision. I couldn't deal with it. I've worked at places that I have quit because I couldn't deal with the hours. I've worked at places that I could tell that we didn't meet eye to eye, and it was like, okay, get out before they get me out. So I want to throw that in there first because people keep asking, and this is the thing about, and this is all software development in general. And Gala Games is a software development company. This is gonna happen. Did I steal your thunder there, Jesse?
No, 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 you did great. I think, this is one of those questions that I'm just not going to answer because, I just don't see a way that I can answer it. With I don't know. I'm just gonna not answer. I can't tell people whether they should be concerned or not.
No,
Um,
well, that's not what I was asking, Jesse. And maybe I phrased it really bad. I've been known for phrasing things really crappy in the past. So ultimately, what I'm kind of digging for, and what I'm hoping to hear is something along the lines of this is kind of a normal progression, like Faz had described. It's nothing, you know. People always want to say, "Oh, it's this, it's that, it's the other, it's a horrible this, it's a great that," and they want that black and white. And sometimes, like, shit just happens, and everybody evolves, everybody moves on. I just what I'm really asking is, that's what the community is concerned about. Is that something that you've seen in the industry that is normal for every company? It, reassuring, I guess, and that's a terrible way to put it, that it's not just Gala that people are going to turn over at, I guess.
yeah, I'm gonna limit my comment on this to in a startup, mass turnover or turnover in general is not uncommon.
Yeah, Faz said it very well. I just didn't know if you were able to say it a different way, because people do, like, go deep into things when sometimes it's just like a surface thing. It's what happens, right? Because they don't have the ability to see things from the other side. Maybe a lot of them don't work for a startup. Maybe most of them just work for big conglomerates and they don't see that. I've done startups, as well as Faz, and obviously you. I understand that stuff. I don't panic when I see a lot of people, turning over. And I was hoping that you could maybe just, say something along the lines of what you did. It's nothing, that is out of the ordinary, in this space, because I think that's really where their ultimate concern is.
Um, I tend to my response to that has also been heavily informed by recruiters, software recruiters. I have a lot of friends that are software development recruiters, and whenever I've left a job or whenever a contract has ended and I haven't been renewed, I go to them and I'm like, what's up with this? And they're like, dude, this is the industry. The turnover for an average software development contractor is 4 months. And I'm like, damn, 4 months? I'm doing pretty good. He's like, and they're like, yeah, this is normal. Get the blockchain area is no different. In fact, it's probably accelerated. You're gonna burn out faster, or people are going to switch directions faster, or people are going to pull the trigger a lot faster. When you have money, you can make a lot of things happen really fast, and there's a lot of money in this space. So I expect it to be very choppy.
Yeah. So here's the thing is, I'm going to keep my stance of I'm not going to speak on Gala. And the reason that I say that is because asking, is it like other, turnover, is there reason to be concerned? How I answer that question is me speaking directly on Gala. So that's why I'm going to limit it to in a startup, turnover is not uncommon. Everyone hates right now that I'm a lawyer, but that's just how I work.
No, look, so, I hope people didn't come here tonight, thinking that this was going to be like the Jerry Springer show and you were going to, like, out Gala for all this, that, and the other. I mean, this is a conversation with Jesse, not Law Tank. And um, everybody kind of wants to know a little more about who you are now. And it does, the allure is there, man. They want to know what they can know now that you aren't standing with your gala shield in front of you. They want to get to know who Jesse really is.
And now, actually, now that Jesse has become somewhat known with his gala creds, I think people want to continue to see him and see what he's doing and follow him and stuff like that. I'm sorry, dude, you got a fan club.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of it may be, some of it may just be people potentially looking for some drama. I don't know. Um, but that came off wrong and not how I meant it. I think that the vast majority of people have absolutely honest interests at heart. Um, but but yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing that I was kind of going at before regarding meeting the community is, it was always amazing because when I was with them, I know everyone came up to me and was like, "Oh, Law Tank," but I never really felt like, I was this like this Law Tank, right? I felt like I was one of them. I felt like I was fanboying, at the same time with them, or I felt like I was just meeting these people that I really, really, really cared for and who really cared for me. And in the moment when I met them, every other time, it was just like friends, right? Having a Town Star beer in the Town Star bar, great things like that. And for everyone who wants to know what I'm doing, I care just as much what they're building and what they're creating. Like I'm really excited about this gamer DAO, right? That's coming that's coming too, and I really am excited to learn more about it. And I'm gonna force you got Forged in Crypto to tell me everything, and it's really cool, all cool stuff.
So the DAO excites you. Are there other projects that you, from the personal side, that you follow and that you like?
Yeah, there are things that I like to follow, right? A lot of things that I like to support friends. I know that people know in Faz that a really good friend of mine, Roel, he started Audacity, and I really really care about what they say that they want to do, and I really think Roel is an amazing person, and I think that his heart is fully in it, and he's the kind of person who I would support regardless. So that's like the kind of thing. I'm mostly poking around and finding out things. Don't want to talk too much on any of them because who knows, where that goes for me.
Well, people might also say this is a Jesse approved project, so let's get into that
Well,
one.
yeah, no. So again, don't read too far into it. It's this space where you're able to now be a little bit more loose with, um, what your interests are and things like that. It's general stuff, and I want people to understand that we all have our passions, right? We like for me, I love the true small, wonderful, growing from a seed kind of project that you can watch bloom. Faz got me into a couple of those that I dig into, and other people have gotten me into those. That's the kind of stuff that I really enjoy. So I didn't know if there was maybe anything that you saw besides Audacity. I knew about Audacity, that you really just hey, this is some really cool stuff that they're developing.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna throw out a shout out now, because I took some time to think about it, and there is one group that I'm really really pumped for, and they've been building for a long time, and they're called Sparkles, and they're an NFT marketplace that's being built on Flare, and I honestly think that right now on the Songbird network, they're one of, if not the only, uh, app or whatever, that actually has true and legitimate volume. And these guys are guys that I got to know very well. And, they're all just trying to make this work, which is really hard on the Songbird network right now. They really, there's just not much to be done on the Songbird network. You need to wait for Flare to go live. But I'm, I believe in these guys wholeheartedly. They're Sparkles NFT. It's going to be a marketplace, kind of like an OpenSea. Just amazing guys. Really pumped for what they're building.
Excellent. And that leads to something I think Faz will be very interested in, hearing what your thoughts are on this too. When Faz gets into a project, and we've had so many talks about this on Faz Radio, and many debates about the same topic. Do you think the project itself or the people behind it are more important to the success of a project?
When you say the people behind it, are you talking about the founders or the people building the project?
Well, the people that are active in that project, right? So Faz had mentioned, and I hate bringing Gala back into this, but he said, when he and I first talked about this way back years ago, he had said, dude, this is like Eric Schiermeyer. Do you know what he is? This can't go sideways, So
I didn't exactly say it like that, but continue.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But it was the people behind it that really, and they'll figure out the technology. Or are you of the type that thinks maybe, hey, they've got a great idea, they've got a great set of technology, and regardless of who's kind of running this, if they can put it together, the technology is kind of where you want to go. What do you think on that?
You can have you keep like unintentionally trapping me because you keep bringing it back.
I know, and
he keeps rephrasing the same question because he wants to see if he can get it out of you. That's really good. It's admirable, Jesse. Keep it up.
So, but I will comment on it in a general sense. I do think you can have the best founder in the world, but a bad idea, and you can have the best idea, but the wrong people behind it. Honestly, when I look at something, it's the idea is important, right? The founder is important, but it's the people that are building that day to day, the people who are making those decisions, the people who are coding, the people who are working those 18-hour days, right? And I'm not saying that the founders aren't, because they are, especially in this space. But to me, the most important people are the ones getting their hands dirty and really building that project. That's where I would base a lot of my looking at is there a possibility for this to be successful, or are we a bunch of nameless, faceless, for lack of a better word, degens? Who are the bulk of those people? Is the company mostly marketing people, or are they mostly people sitting there building? And if they are people sitting there building, what is their experience? Are they experienced in what they're building, or are they people who are just just kind of have maybe the education but have never done it? I look at that. I think that any idea, even if it starts out bad, with the right people, can be molded into a brilliant idea. And any amazing founder with a brilliant idea with the wrong people can have an epic failure of a project. So it's really the employees that are the most important in my mind.
So I'd like to comment on that because I believe it or not, I told Titan a lot of what you just said. So what interested me in Gala Games was Eric Schiermeyer's experience at Zynga, and actually his position at Zynga. He was a project manager there, and he's also been a venture capitalist for a number of other companies. I figured at the very least he had the chops to be able to do it, fund it, and even put it together. However, and since he was a project manager, he's worked with larger companies and dealt with people. I figured he'd have the ability to bring in the people. I also figured that he's an asshole. I've seen it. I've seen stuff online I've seen interviews with him and so on, and he reminds me a lot of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was an asshole. Steve Jobs also could get things done, and you'll find that a lot of people who run these companies uh, are assholes. Bill Gates was a bit of a jerk, and a lot of other people. Uh, that said, that sounds like, in my opinion, that's my personal assessment of him. As far as whether he can get it done, he has all the chops to get it done. In my 2 cents, it's also worth noting that companies in general, um, once you start building a company, once you start getting 20, 30, 40, 50 people, 100 people, 200 people, your company becomes more than just you. A company becomes an entity that seeks to define itself and defend its own purpose. And I think that every founder has to deal with that. And so I think that with any company, you're going to have a push and pull between what the founders wanted, what the founders want, and what the company wants. The various people who work for the company are going to try to push it one direction, and the founders are going to want to push it another direction. Um, so I think that's a struggle with any company. It would be with one that I started. It'd be with any company out there. Um, it takes a certain personality to deal with that kind of stuff. I know I couldn't do it. I don't think I could have a company that large, and I think it's a stressful job. Um, but also it's stressful for the employees. So that's why I got into buying NFTs from Gala and buying Galas, because I realized that this is a big ecosystem that that Gala Games, that Eric Schreiermeyer is starting. He's starting the very beginning of something that's going to feed on itself. And there's also this charity angle too, which I wish that they would talk a lot more about. But it takes a certain kind of personality to run it, and it takes a certain kind of personality to work for those things. So I'm trying not to make my answer seem very black or white, because there's a number of conflicting influences. That said, it is what it is.
Wow, that was a mouthful. So Hefe Sailor or Jeffy Hefe, I don't know. I don't want to go either way. And Vent It want to know pizza or sandwich, Jesse.
Oh my gosh. So that was a thing, I think, in the Gala Discord, and I never really understood it. Are
Or
people
taco.
asking me if I like pizza more than a sandwich, or is pizza pizza, or is pizza a sandwich? I don't know what they're asking.
Pizza is an open-faced taco.
If it's, do I have a choice between pizza and a sandwich? I would generally say pizza, but I will tell you that I am a creature of absolute and ridiculous habit. And from the age of, like, I don't know, maybe 8 through 18, every day I had a ham and cheese sandwich, nothing else on it, just ham and cheese for lunch. That was it every single day. So back then I might have said sandwich, but now I'm addicted to pizza.
Team Pizza for the win, says Vera. So let me ask you this. When you look at your experiences so far, right? So you graduate law school, you go into the elder care law, you switch over into the Web3 side of things. What are some things that you, if you could do something different, make a different choice, or maybe approach things a little bit differently with something that you've done in your past, what would that be?
It's a fun question. Yeah, I'm a firm believer of everything that happened in my past is what led me to be here right now. So, for example, my first job out of law school, I did not love it. I don't want to say too much, but it wasn't a great it wasn't a great experience for me. But that's where I met my wife, and so and she's I guess she hears me, she's smiling at me. But so if it wasn't for that, I could easily go back and say, wow, I wish that I worked somewhere else, or I wish I stayed in North Carolina because I really did love North Carolina and I really didn't want to leave. But then again, if I did that, I wouldn't be married to Katie and I wouldn't be here right now. So I don't look back and have any regrets other than, maybe not like giving Doc a swirly or something like that. That would have been a great experience.
So my last question that I have in my head, do you think Faz Radio would be a good forum for Doc to join us?
I think that, Doc's hilarious. I don't know why he's not coming on. I think it would be a great place for Doc to be. And I think what's so great about it is I don't think he wants to come on. So that's what would make it so much better.
Okay,
Very
I was
cool.
I was given a question on Faz Radio Chat by Mr. K. He had it. He asked this for me because I called Eric Shiremeyer an asshole. Nothing personal, Eric. I was actually extolling your company, your ability to build a company. He says, I have a legit question. Jesse mentioned the community is really important for blockchain companies. You just mentioned Eric's an asshole. Do you think being an asshole CEO and communication with the community might hurt the company? Um, I would say that he is projecting the kind of brand that he wants to right now. I think that, and I'm going to go on what Eric Shiremeyer has stated. I don't know him from Adam. He doesn't know me from Adam, so I'm not going to say I have any inside information. But he said in interviews that he wants to be very honest about his intentions with people. If I've admonished him myself. I'm like, hey, you could be a lot nicer about that. He's like, I'm a jerk. I admit it. Um, will it hurt the company? Um, Maybe, but people can see through that. People can see that they like people like Vera and Chair Bandit and Law Tank. They like the people in the company, and they're just gonna put them in a category. Be like, oh, that's the boss. The company we like, and companies will fight for their own identity. I think Eric might have a hard time dealing with that the company is going to fight for its own identity. I mean, it's going to be a tough battle. um but would you rather have the reverse? Would you rather the company um say all nice things to you and pat you on the head and make you feel a lot better, and then silently stab you in the back, like a lot of other companies do out there? In one sense, you could say it's a lot more honest. You get to see, you're seeing what you're getting. In another sense, no, it's not. It's not the best look. So I don't know. It's in this situation, I think it's going to go in an unpredictable direction. However, there's a lot of options here that Gala can do. Gala can decide what Gala could decide to get a marketing company, and then you'd never hear from him again. But personally, I rather like the communication from the people in Gala, regardless of how weird it is, because them with their whole leaks thing, and they can kind of paint themselves into a corner sometimes, and they sound really contradictory at times. It is kind of nice to be able to at least have them see it on a personal level, rather than a lot of other companies out there. The company you buy your washing machine from, are you ever going to be able? Are you going to communicate with them in any way whatsoever? Are they going to care? No, their customer service department is designed to give you as little as possible, for as cheaply as possible, to just give you what you need so you leave them the fuck alone. It's going to go in an unpredictable direction, so we'll have to see.
Oh, I want to add something that has nothing to do with what you were just talking about, and I want to go back a second. I did mention that working at my first job is what helped me meet my wife, but I really meant what's working at my first job is what helped me meet my wife, which helped me meet her brother, Andrew Dakotas Morrow, who is a member of your Discord and just said hi to me in chat. So that's really the best thing that's happened to me is Katie's brother, Andrew Dakotas Morrow. I forget your Discord name. It's something weird, but yeah.
Nice. How long have you been married?
Well, it depends on who you ask. No, it's been about 2 years, a little over 2 years now.
I'd say my wife and I were married for at least a couple of years before we got married.
Yeah.
I'm sure you might know
Well,
how that goes.
so we actually had like one of the interesting stories where we were supposed to get married, but the wedding was canceled because of COVID. Or we weren't sure if the wedding was going to get canceled, and we didn't want to pay all the deposits, so we canceled it. And then we had a wedding in our backyard, and that was a little over 2 years ago. But then we just in May, we just had like the ceremony that we had originally planned with friends and family. Doc was there. It was pretty great. Obviously, Andrew was there. He was the officiant of the wedding. It was pretty great.
I like that. That's actually really cool.
Andrew, what is your name? I want to call you out in your Discord name. It's something weird. I don't remember it.
I see him on YouTube there. Is he on the Discord?
He is. It's like Methuselah Honeysucker or something like that.
Oh,
no way! That's it. Oh,
That's
I
him?
know who that is. Yeah,
Yeah, Methuselah Honeysuckle. I think that's it.
yeah.
he
got a
just
zip bug
popped
from me.
in. Yeah, he just popped in again. He hadn't shown up in a while. He come in and he says, "What the hell happened around here?" He missed a lot. Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's funny. I think he found out about me not being a gal from Discord and not from me.
So I would be wary since I know that you're married now and you have some time off. I'm going to predict a baby boom might happen in about 9 months since you don't have a lot going on at the moment.
Well, that sounds great and all, but the part about not working is insurance. So, I want to insure a baby, but who knows?
So we got Titan.
I was vaping, and you hate it when I vape. So that was all I had on my plate for Jesse tonight. What I would like to do though is give Jesse an opportunity to pepper back at you, Faz. He didn't have an opportunity to give the questions over to you quite often because he was too busy. So Jesse, what's some of the burning things you want to know about Faz?
This is going to come off wrong because it's going to sound like I'm not interested, but I haven't really thought about questions I would ask Faz.
Thanks, man. It's the last time you're on the show.
Faz, is your pointer toe bigger than your big toe?
That's a bit personal, dude. That's TMI.
Those are the kind of questions I think everybody wants to know here.
Well, usually and the reason I brought that up is Faz is usually peppering the shit out of you constantly.
Isn't that my job?
And never gives you an opportunity to ask him a damn thing. So I thought, all right, let's take a minute here and see if there's anything that Jesse can get in edgewise while we have the opportunity.
He's trying to get us to fight, Jesse.
I'm not. You do. I mean, every chance you get, you cut him off like 5 times tonight, trying to pepper him with more questions. It's like, give the man a chance to ask you something.
This is Faz Radio. It's not Jesse Radio. I mean, we do appreciate Jesse. Don't mind me. Don't mind me there. But I'm sorry, it just happens.
I think.
All right, Jesse.
Now you just cut Jesse off, dude. Okay,
I
Jesse,
did.
Go ahead,
I
say
didn't
what you wanted to say without Titan getting in the way.
No, I don't have really anything to say.
All right. This is getting a bit long. We've been on for about an hour and 18 minutes, and I hope that we've asked all the questions that we could have. People keep asking some Miranda's questions here and there. I'm not sure how is Jesse really associated with Miranda's. Do you have like Miranda's NFTs or something?
I am and will always remain pumped for Miranda's. Michael McCarthy is maybe one of my favorite people on the history of this planet, and he's also just the coolest guy in the absolute world. And so yeah, I do have a decent amount of Miranda's NFTs. Old Man Smithers sold me my first Miranda's NFT, but Michael McCarthy, is just an absolute stud of a human, and I don't know what else I could say about that other than he's part a really good friend of mine and part my hero. So,
yeah, actually, I have a lot of Miranda stuff too. That's the game that I'm the most pumped for, and that's the game that, I got into Gala games slightly beforehand, but once Miranda's popped, that got me like doubly interested in it. So I've been I've been around because of Mirandus, and since we were around at the beginning, it's going to be a while before it's finished. Going to be a couple of years, guys. So stop assuming it's going to be done tomorrow, and stop acting all butthurt when 2 months from now it's not done. No, it takes a while to make these things.
Yeah, but it's the game, it's the game that I've always wanted, and right, anybody else who has like that fantasy D&D minded type personality has always wanted, and that's what's most important. Is I bet that Michael could slap something together by the end of the year. And when I want to take that back, because saying slap something together, he's been working hard, his team has been working hard, they made great progress. But I'm sure they could launch something at the end of the year, and I'm sure that if they did, you all would have a great experience, but not the experience that he's probably going to put on. And I think looking back, if I had to predict, or looking forward, if I had to predict, I think, even if you wait 2 years, I think everyone's going to be like, wow, I'm so happy I waited 2 years for Michael McCarthy to create this, epic story.
Is this based upon stuff that you've seen? That, yes, this is another way to reword things to get you into answering a Gala question. Have you seen things that we have not?
Well, of course, I've seen things that you have not, but I think even based on the things that everybody has seen, I think you can see the massive progress just being made, from one playable, one demo, from another, the art that, there's a lot of information coming out that are not coming out, that has come out. I don't actually know what's going to be coming out. No, I honestly, it's part what everybody has seen, and it's part just Michael McCarthy is a fucking baller badass. And I don't curse that much, and that's just it. That man has more swag than anyone I've ever met in the history of my life, and it's amazing.
We now have Jesse's opinion on Michael McCarthy. We can write that one down.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, here live on Faz Radio,
we're
live.
We're going to record that. We're going to put that on the short and play it nonstop.
Jesse Hynes has guaranteed Mirandus for the end of this year.
Yep, that's what I heard too. Hey, if you're such
how
good
that
friends,
goes, right?
I heard guaranteed Roy. That's what I heard.
If you're such good friends with Michael McCarthy, you can get him in on Faz Radio, right?
I'm not going to be recruiting anyone.
Damn it, Jesse.
Well, yeah. We very much appreciate you coming by, and I was glad to talk to you. And hopefully, we can talk to you again in the future. Is that possible?
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. I think it would be good for me to come back on, when I have solidified what I'm doing next, and when I can really talk more about what I'm going to be doing next and things like that. I'm not really one to pre-announce things or to hype anything. I have high ambitions for myself. I have high ambitions for what I want to do, but it's none of it's guaranteed at this point. So it would be definitely great to come back when it's there.
Awesome sauce. Okay. So I see a lot of people on the Discord, even Mr. K is like saying he hopes you stay part of the community. So we hope to see you around the Gala community more. You can hang around at CFA and give me trouble.
I will. Yeah, I'll be present in CFA for sure.
Awesome. All right.
For everything that you've done for CFA and for us tonight here, thank you, Jesse, so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. You don't have to thank me for this. I had a good time. This was it's just a chat, right? We're just hanging out, drinking a beer. Although I don't have a beer.
Absolutely.
All right. See you guys later.